Hello, good morning. Uma Bharti here from Houston, Texas. For our YouTube series titled When Art Becomes a Way of Life, in today's segment, I shall share with you an interesting experience from my second world cultural tour, which was to Malaysia and Singapore. In a time span of 4 decades as a performer, dance guru, actor, and director of the academy, I recall quite a few incidents and experiences, sometimes filled with much excitement, fulfillment, pride, and few other times filled to the brim with frustration, anguish, injuries, travel related situations, and more. Topic today is about an unexpected invitation from Maharaja of Kontan to perform at their palace. My goodness, this certainly is one high point of this tour, I thought. I was about 20 years of age at the time, and my dancing took me places that I never imagined or dreamt of, much less getting invited to perform in a king's court, as in Rajavari Asthanam. A brief introduction here is, however, necessary. Actually, at the time, I was on a month long tour of Malaysia and Singapore with my musicians and parents. The state delegated government sponsored tour was to raise funds for the Second World Telugu Conference that was to take place in Kuala Lumpur in 1982. Malaysia Telugu Sangham and Ramasubaya Scholarship Fund together conducted about 33 dance concerts from Kuala Lumpur, Penang, all the way to Kuantan. Back-to-back programs and rehearsals. It was a hectic tour. After traveling the length and breadth of the country, our show was gaining momentum and much appreciation from thousands of art lovers from all over. Close to completion of the tour, we were going to travel to our grand finale performance at the Kuala Lumpur State Civic Center, which was already sold out to capacity. Few hours before our flight to Kuala Lumpur, organizers received a call from the King of Kontan, followed by an invitation for my performance at the palace. However, that offer and invitation wasn't going to pan out because there was no time at all. But after negotiations between the palace and the Sabha officials, Sabha could not turn down the palace's offer of a hefty financial aid to the Ramasubaya Scholarship Fund and the Telugu Sabha, and also a chartered flight to and from the palace to Kuala Lumpur for our troupe. It was kind of exciting and interesting. I only saw Rajanartakis in movies, never knew there existed Maharajas and palaces even in 70s and 80s. So all was good, all went well. But the Maharaja was an elderly, majestic man, unlike the young, handsome Yuvarajas in the films I saw. We did, we did laugh about it. However, our chartered flight to Kuala Lumpur was traumatic. We were caught in the worst weather I have ever known in my life. None of us thought we would make it out safely. God's grace, we landed at Kuala Lumpur, but the cyclonic weather was everywhere. There was no power at the five-star hotel where we were to stay. There was no time to put on makeup for the farewell program. I was exhausted and almost in tears for having to put on makeup in the dark with only few candles for light. My poor mom has to put up with so much, including my tantrums. On top of that, the mridangist was a very sick man after the flight. Mom and I somehow got things together, and I went on stage hours later than the scheduled time of the program. There were 2,000 people in the audience, and yes, our program once again was a stupendous success. Received thunderous applause and felicitations. Very grand and successful event it was. We then left the very next day to Hyderabad. High point was when my father, Major Satyanarayana, donated all of my remuneration to the cause. Inspired by the Ramasubaya Scholarship Fund's activities, he also announced establishing 2 scholarships in my name for postgraduate students in Andhra Pradesh and Usmania. Low points were: number one, the 2.5 hour programs, all in all 33 of them, took their toll on my mom and me as well. I used to wear these specially made bells, 100 bells on each foot. No matter how you pad and tie up the bells, they hurt my ankles bad, really bad, and skin would bleed badly. By the end of the tour, my mother couldn't take it anymore. She was in tears, crying. And when I was dancing for the Singapore TV, she actually stopped the crew from retakes. And number two, there were repeat audiences. They were traveling in their vehicles or in buses or vans so they could watch the program over again. So this added to the already stressed and hectic program. I was practically choreographing new dances to new music. So that went on like that. And we did raise funds, 10 lakhs Malaysian dollars for the Sabha and another 10 lakhs Malaysian dollars for the Ramasubaya Scholarship Fund. We were all very, very happy about that. So this is the segment today. I'm very glad and thank you very much for watching the video. I will be back with another segment soon, and do subscribe to our channel and share the video with friends that like Indian dancing, and do stay and watch the court dance that I have attached here for you. Thank you very much. Namaste.
This Mandodari Shabdam is danced to rhythm by the court dancer of Emperor Krishnadevaraya. First, she sings praises of their emperor and then goes on to narrate the story of Mandodari, who due to a dreadful curse turns into a frog, living alongside with vicious big and small creatures in a pond. Here, the noisy atmosphere around the pond, including the sweet chittering noises of the birds, is very well brought out by the artist. However, after 100 years, the curse is lifted and the frog-turned princess becomes her own self again. The demon king Ravana falls in love with this beautiful princess, asks her to marry him, and takes her away to Lanka. It's very interesting to watch the artist play the roles of delicate and beautiful Mandodari and the dreadful Ravana simultaneously. Krishna
విధి ప్రేరణమున మంటోదరి ఆయన ఆ మంటోదరి వర్ణక్రమం పెట్టిదనిన
ఇటుదే తల్లి